And finally, our longest established partnership is with Barking and Dagenham Council, who now utilise cash perks across the entire local authority, across various different departments, including, as we're going to hear in a moment, their welfare benefits team, who use it to disperse various different discretionary awards and their household support fund allocation. Their migrant services team, who use it for a range of different payments, including their Homes for Ukraine, as well as their no recourse to public funds. And finally, their children's services department, who've completely replaced a previously time-consuming petty cash arrangement and now use cash perks for all their client payments. So now we've gone from over the last 2 years to a point where the council's dispersed about £1.5 million of welfare payments and hardship funds to their beneficiaries. And you can see the scale of the change that's been experienced here, with a doubling or more than doubling of payments that have been used through cash perks. And last week, the partnership won a award from in terms of its public sector transformation, in terms of innovation. And so we're really proud of the relationship we've got with Barking and Dagenham. So we've got Rob Nellis from Barking and Dagenham Council, who is their benefits manager, and we have worked with Barking and Dagenham Council now for the last 2.5 years. And when we originally came to Rob and Donna, we were just saying, can we use cash perks with you and just test it out? And you were like, yeah, it's okay if we can just use it just for people without bank accounts. But it's actually moved on from there quite significantly, hasn't it, Rob? And so what were some of the challenges that you as a council faced in getting hardship payments out to people?
Well, the challenge always is that anything that falls out of the legislative schemes, that are funded through government, that our systems are built to actually process and make payments on, are just totally out of scope. So, and as a council, we generally are restricted in terms to how we can actually pay money out, because generally we're taking money in. And it was always, the option was always back to vouchers, because that was one of the only pathways that we had to be able to get any form of support out there, that was outside of those normal schemes.
And so how has having cash perks changed that? What have you seen as a department making payments out to people?
But there are several things. One, it's allowed us to react and respond really quickly, because, as any council will know, even using the voucher process, there is quite a time scale to it, in terms of when you first raise the voucher, purchase the voucher, you have to wait for that then to be raised by the company you're buying it from. You then have to have that delivered to you, and you've then got to arrange for that to be given or delivered to the customer one way or another. And you're talking about the most vulnerable customers, and a lot of them don't have that sort of online or smartphone access. So you're reliant on either posting it out, or in some cases emailing it out, and in most of the cases, them turning up at your front desk to be able to collect it in person. And what we found was that by the time you'd gone through that whole rigmarole, the sort of emergent need that the customer had has gone. So they can't be bothered, and we had, a 36% failure rate on vouchers that were not being cashed in or picked up.
Yeah.
So one of the immediate results from being able to issue, payments through cash perks was, you know, our performance rate in terms of success is, a couple of points off 100%. and that is significant when you're dealing with the amount of funding that we're dealing with, because vouchers, once they're expired, you've no comeback to it, so that's money lost.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, we can literally have a customer in a dire emergency pitch up at our emergency desk at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and we can have done everything we need to do and actually have them stood at a cash point withdrawing money literally within 20 minutes if we need.
Yeah.
You know,
Perfect. And now I mean, it was piloted in the welfare team for a number of different schemes that you've got, and a number of different welfare schemes,
yeah.
and it's been rolled out in other parts of the council. What have you heard about how that's gone?
Well, the feedback is very positive. I mean, one of the key areas that has signed up and is using it, um, is our care team. Our social services care team, because they deal with the petty cash and those support payments for, those young people in care or leaving care, and they were having to do it all from a petty cash tin. And again, we're reliant on, having that tin full, or, you know, if it was the most vulnerable clients where there are possible, addiction issues, they were restricted in terms of how much cash that they could issue, and because they had to sort of consider all of that. And then obviously, there was always that natural reversion back to vouchers because it was just that natural, easier thing,
Mm,
particularly when you're expecting a young person to pitch up at your office doorway, on a Friday afternoon to pick up a bit of pocket money, you know. And actually, what it's enabled them to do is they've switched their whole process and just manage it all online through Cash Perks. Much more efficient for the young people that they're supporting, and there's none of that to-ing and fro-ing. It's agreed. That's what it's going to be. That's what the payment cycle is, and those payments are set up to go. And the young person just gets a text.
yeah,
How simple can it be? So you cut all that sort of administrative time out. You don't have to worry about having a cash supply on the premises. And more importantly, you don't have to worry about whether a social worker is present or not on a Friday afternoon. So, a much more efficient way.
yeah. And what are there any challenges that you've seen from using cash perks and the digital solution that we offer?
Um, Nothing that can't be overcome. I mean, you know, you get the odd vulnerability with some of our customers, where there's a bit of confusion initially, but that's more about their vulnerabilities and learning levels rather than the system itself. Um, but I'll be honest, where an issue has cropped up, what I can't emphasize strongly enough is how efficient and speedy the support guys at Cash Perks on the end of the phone are in terms of answering that call if there is a problem and somebody stood in front of a cash machine, and actually taking them through and getting that resolution before we're even aware of it. 99.9% of the time, we don't even know about it until we're told later on down the line because your guys have stepped in and it's just sorted in minutes.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you, Rob. Really, really appreciate all that. It's good to hear the feedback and how it's worked for you guys.